Stephanie Dobson is with us today. Stephanie is a lawyer, mediator, and online educator with Hanka Divorce Law and Mediation with offices in Lloydminster and Edmonton. Stephanie is here for an episode of Healthy Thriving Family After Divorce. And we're switching it up a bit, Stephanie, today, talking about travel with kids. So first of all, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, Stacey.
It is hard to believe that the kids are almost done school and it's that time when vacations are going to start. So let's
Yes.
talk about how that looks for people who are going through separation and divorce and what things maybe parents need to consider when they're going to be traveling with their children over the summer.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey. So, although in our interviews we focus mostly on people who are separating or divorcing, this topic actually relates to travel with children anytime who are under the age of 18, traveling with only one parent or guardian or traveling unaccompanied. So, primarily when a parent or guardian is traveling with their child, they should focus on two things. So first of all, what type of travel is allowed according to the parenting plan? And number two, what documentation is required for that travel? So first, let's talk about the parenting plan. So this may be a court order or a separation agreement, which would set out what's allowed as far as travel. So some things when you're to consider when you're building a parenting plan, things like, are parents free to travel with the children during their parenting time for any travel distance or location, or is there notice required or some kind of consent that's required ahead of time? I know each family has different views on this, so I always like to listen to the parents' views as we're building that parenting plan. So the second thing is the documentation. So although there's no legal requirement for parents or guardians to carry a particular consent form for travel with their children, it's really important when you are traveling outside of Canada. Usually Customs and Immigration will want to see that the consent has been provided by the non-accompanying parent. So that's a really good way to ensure smooth travel, is to get that travel consent. So when we're within Canada, though, there's no provincial border patrol that will monitor that travel. So it's best to look back to your parenting plan and to put any restrictions in place that you want for intra-provincial travel.
Well, and let's go a little bit deeper into the travel to the US or anywhere outside of Canada. What
Mm-hmm.
should parents basically be looking for as far as consent forms and such? Because, you'd hate to book the trip and get to the border and then there's an issue because somebody, and security doesn't believe maybe that the kids should be traveling with you. So what should they be looking at as far as the requirements when they leave the country?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Stacey. It's best to provide no surprises, and to be denied at the border. So there's no specific form necessarily that's required by the customs officer, but the point of that consent to travel form is for the customs person to have enough information to be reassured that the non-traveling parent or guardian has consented to the travel. So of course, the more information that the traveling parent can provide about the itinerary and the non-accompanying parent or guardian, the better. So whether there's phone numbers on there or email addresses, your full travel itinerary, the more information you can provide, the better. So there's no legal requirement for the form to be notarized specifically. It can be commissioned or witnessed by anyone over the age of majority. But the more official that the form looks, so if you get it notarized as opposed to just witnessed, the more official it looks, the less likely that you are to receive questions from the customs officials about the authenticity of the form. We have lots of people, both clients and the public, who either pop by our office or who call in about these travel consent forms. Sometimes people bring their own forms, and sometimes people want us to prepare the forms. We don't charge anything different for whether we create the form or not. So either way works. Just make sure that the necessary information is contained inside the form.
Okay, and when should people be looking at getting these forms if they're planning travel?
Well, Stacey, you talked about surprises at the border. So the best thing that I can recommend is, before you actually book your travel completely, is to get that travel consent signed, because we don't want any surprises, and we don't want the non-traveling parent to refuse to allow you to go, and your trip has been booked and you're leaving in a week or two, and all of a sudden you have this problem with the travel consent. It's really easy. All you have to do is first complete the form. Second, have the non-traveling parent or guardian come to our office to have the form notarized. And then third, the original gets picked up by the traveling parent. So really super easy.
Now, you did touch on this in your answer, Stephanie, but what happens if one of the parents doesn't consent?
Well, there's really only two options as to any dispute, whether it's travel or otherwise. Come to agreement, or you have to have a court decide on whether the travel is allowed absent the other parent's consent. So if the traveling parent waits too long and the trip is too close, sometimes there may not be time to get into court. So best to leave time to negotiate and to get this done before you even plan that travel, or book that travel, I should say.
Really good information, Stephanie, and I think it's something that maybe people don't think about and then get caught at the last minute. So
Yes,
once again,
absolutely.
they can always contact your office if they need more information on
Mhm.
this. Stephanie, how do they reach you?
You bet. Our phone number is 780-875-2234.
All right, thanks for joining me, Stephanie. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, Stacy.